Hi, Maria here. I am gonna make a folder journal today. And as you can see, I have used an old Manila folder to make this. I got the idea from Heidi Zukowski and Karen Winter from magazine long ago. And I just took an old Manila folder, folded it as per description in her tutorial, and just linked it up with my own papers. So here I have an old folder, and I measured out 3 inches from the bottom and 4 3/8 from the sides, not counting the tabs. So then I scored it with an awl and bent it and flattened it as tightly as I could. And then I scored the vertical lines. It's a little uneven because there is already a fold from this folder from use, so there's a little bit of overlap. You can cut that off or just use it the way it is. I just used it the way it is. So that's where that unevenness comes from, the uneven middle. So you just cut out papers, whatever you have, decorative papers. It could be wrapped paper. And I had 4 pieces to cover on these bottom flaps. And then there's vertical pieces. And I used all different papers, but it was a little too busy, my opinion. So you can stick with 1 or 2 papers, that's up to you, whatever you have. So then I took when I had all the papers, I sewed on my machine all around the edges of the manila folder to keep everything secure. But I didn't think it was all that pretty. I could have glued it all down instead of using a sewing machine. I'm gonna just show you how I cut out the pieces just for you to just see. I'm trying to make this video as short as I can without getting into million details. It doesn't have to fit perfectly. That's however you want it to, how pretty you want it. It's more of a junk journal. It's the perfect size for a travel journal where you have a little bit of space in your suitcase for some mixed media adventures. So here you can see how I had sewn around the edges. That's the whole thing about these papers. And then you sew down the sides too. I blinked up the edges with some washi tape, actually, just folded it over and glued it down with extra glue to make sure it would hold. And there's some on the other side, and I took a piece of fabric, stamped journal on it, and glued that down. Actually, I sewed it on there. So the instructions were to make a strengthening spine piece with paper and then some fabric on top. I thought it was just too much, but I followed the instructions, and so I glued the fabric onto the piece of paper and then I sewed it on the machine. But I regretted that because it really makes the pocket a lot more narrow than if I had glued it all down. So I learned a lot making this, but it's still usable. You just have to make the inserts fit the pockets. So once I got that spine down, it became like super sturdy. And then I went to figure out what to put in the pockets. So I had scrap paper and some already made tags, but that I sewed the scrap paper onto thin cardboard. And here I had made a tag out of watercolor paper. So I sewed that, and then they're super sturdy. You can write on those little inserts and make as many as you like. And use different papers. It's the sky's the limit, as they say. And I like the lined paper a lot. So that's pretty much it. You can't go wrong, really. The experiment, and it costs you absolutely nothing if you have an old manila folder. So enjoy, and thanks for watching.